Well, I am a little sleepy and I'm enjoying a little late night snack. Excuse me. So sorry. But before I go to sleep, I wanted to tell you a little story. Let me close the window. Okay? All that noise is coming in. People are still up running around and it's late. Okay. So, a long, long time ago, in your world, it's a long, long time ago, but not so long ago, there was a little girl who was born on a beautiful, rainy day in the wintertime in San Francisco. And, excuse me, excuse me, I'm so sleepy. So, this little peanut, now sit down. So, this little peanut, you have to sit down, close your eyes. That's my little doggy, Peanut. So, Peanut, sit down and close your eyes, okay? And listen to the story. Okay. So, Peanut, so the little girl, can you hold on a second? I'm going to have to put Peanut up. Just give me a quick minute, okay? Peanut, I'm going to tuck you in bed. That's my little doggy. Okay? Now, Mommy is just telling people. Now, be quiet, okay? Oops. Okay. I had to tuck Peanut in nice and snug. Excuse me, I'm a little sleepy. Okay, so where were we? Okay, the little girl was born on a beautiful, rainy, snowy day in the wintertime. Quite a while, long time ago. She's an older lady now, but she was born on a beautiful day to her mommy, grandmommy, and she had a wonderful childhood. One day, she was going to the store to pick up her grandmother's medicine, and she was going with her brother and her sister, who was slightly younger than her. So, as she was, excuse me, I'm kind of sleepy. Excuse me. Okay, so while she was walking to the store, are you still with me? Okay. While she was walking to the store to get her medicine, her grandmother's medicine, she saw a sign. And it was on the right-hand side of the street, and the sign said, "Baby chicks, 25 cents." But she didn't care about that. They kept on going to the pharmacy to get her grandmother's medicine. Now, her grandmother, she was a diabetic and she required her insulin, which she kept in the refrigerator back in those days because she had diabetes from eating too much sugar. Or maybe it was just hereditary. We don't know. But anyway, her grandmother had diabetes, so she was on her way to the pharmacy. Excuse me, I'm kind of sleepy. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. So, excuse me. So she was on her way to the pharmacy, like I said, with her brother and sister to get the medicine for her grandmother. So as they were waiting, they looked up at the counter at the pharmacist, and the pharmacist said, May I help you?" They were short staffed that day, so the pharmacist was helping people. I said, "Yes, I'd like to pick up some medicine for my grandmother." And I gave her name, and my brother and sister looked up at the pharmacist, and he says, "Okay." So Like I said, I'm a little sleepy, but so they waited for the medicine. Then finally, um, they says, "Well, we have your grandmother's name on file. It'll be just a few minutes, and we'll get her medicine ready." Well, they were going to have to look in the refrigerator and see if we have her insulin in there. So they did, and they prepared my grandmother's medicine. They put it in a nice little bag that said pharmacy on it. They gave it to me, and then I gave them the money that my grandmother gave me to give to the pharmacist. And my grandmother said, still a little noisy, isn't it? Anyway, I'm a little sleepy. My grandmother said, whatever money is left over, you kids can have it to buy something for yourself. So I gave them the money, got the change back in a little white bag that said pharmacy on it with my grandmother's insulin. Excuse me, I'm a little sleepy. Excuse me. Okay. My apologies. So anyway, my eyes are getting a little sleepy. Anyway, so I um I got the medicine and the change, and my little brother and my little sister were walking with me back to my grandmother's house, who I lived with at the time. So as we were walking back, we saw a sign, and it said chicks, 25 cents. Oh my goodness. Now, I'd never seen a chick before, except maybe on television when it was Easter time. Back in those days, we didn't have cable, we just had regular television that had two antennas on it, and you would put a little foil on it sometime to get a signal. Anyway, back to where we were at. So I said, okay, the feed store is not that far, and I don't think Grandma will get too mad if we just went in the feed store real quick. This was a long time ago, okay? And maybe we could look at the chicks really quickly. So I went in the store and we looked at the chicks, and I said, well, how much are they? Then I remembered there's a sign that said 25 cents for baby chicks. And I looked in my hand. Oh, I had 75 cents. I asked my brother and my sister, says, can we not buy any candy today? Why don't we buy one of these pretty little chicks? So we did. We bought 3 chicks. One for me, one for my brother, and one for my little sister, who was really my auntie. She was my grandmother's youngest daughter, but I called her my sister because she was younger than me. So, well, that's another story for another day. Excuse me, I'm a little sleepy. Hold on. Oh, please excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we, while we were there at the feed store, the person that helped us accepted the 75 cents. That was a little bit, it was kind of a little bit of money back in those days. So, and she said, I'm going to get a box and put the chicks in it for you. So she disappeared for a while, went toward the back of the store, came back with a box. She says, okay, I'm going to put the chicks in this for you. But then she got a little instrument and she poked little holes in the cardboard box. Then she says, okay, come on, let's put your chicks in them. Now you can pick the chicks out. So I picked out a chick. My brother picked out a little chick. They were squeaking, squeaking. And then my little sister picked out a chick. She took some of the hay, which is dried grass, out of where they were in this, bin of chicks, and she put it in the box. Then she set the chicks in it, closed it, and taped it, careful not to tape up where the holes were in the box. So we were so happy. We spent our 75 cents on 3 chicks. Yippee! So we just rushed back home to show our grandmother what we bought. So you're gonna have to put she looked and she was underneath the light, kind of happy for us. She goes, well, these are baby chicks. They're awfully fragile. They're awfully little. So you're gonna have to eat chick food. Oh my goodness. So my grandmother said, well, she did put a little food in here for your chicks, but tomorrow you're going to have to go back to that store and get some chicken food for these little chicks. What are they going to eat? So she put a little lamp with a light over them to keep them warm all night. And my grandmother put a little tiny container of water, very small because the chicks were very little. Oh, it was a weekday. It was a weekend. So the next day we went back to the store. Excuse me, I'm a little sleepy. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so oh, excuse me. We went back to the store to get the chicks some food. But before we took off for the store, I went in my piggy bank and took out some money. So did my brother and my sister, who saved more than my brother and I. She even saved her candy. She had some money. So back to the feed store we went, which was not that far from the house, and we saw the chicks there. It's baby chicks for 25 cents. Hmm. Well, we bought about 12. We had enough money. And once again, she poked a hole in the box. She put the chicks in there, taped them closed, and gave them to us along with chick food. And we hurried home to show Grandma. She didn't say anything. We repeated this several times. And before we knew it, we had 80 chicks. Chicks started to grow. There was Bamsey, there was Red, there was Speckles, we had names for all of them. And when we would sit out in the backyard by the swing set, we would feed them. We'd even sneak them a couple of Snicker bars. Well, the chicks were getting big. They were no longer babies. So I had my allowance. And sometime later, we went back to the store. She says, "We have no chicks. They're all gone. You can't buy any more. But we do have turkeys. They're 50 cents a piece." I looked at my brother. He looked at me. "Let's buy a turkey." And we did. It was 50 cents. We bought a turkey. So we took the turkey home, and same process as with the chicks. My grandmother put them underneath the light. You know, the chicks kept growing and growing and growing. Um, then one day, see, we lived in a city. We didn't live in the country. We lived in a very big city, not too far from San Francisco. We had just moved from San Francisco, and the chicks was helping us, you know. Excuse me, I'm a little sleepy. Hold on a minute. The chicks were helping us, you know, settle into the new place outside of San Francisco, the suburbs of San Francisco. Anyway, one day there's a knock at the door, and the person said he was an officer, and he said, "I heard you have, oh my goodness, this is so painful, more than a few chickens in your backyard." This was the city. He says, "Well, you're going to, who do these chicks belong to?" She said, "They belong to my granddaughter." He says, "Well, young lady, you cannot have all these chickens." He says, "I lost count at 50. You cannot have all these chickens in the city, but you can keep one or two." All the chicks went. The people came by from the congregation, which is a religious organization, and they helped Grandma get rid of all the chicks, and they divided them up and took them home. Grandma says, "Well, we're going to eat a couple of these." And now then I knew where fried chicken came from. And anyway, a couple of them Grandma put in the freezer. Anyway, I sadly looked at my plate and I said, I can't eat Bamsi. Sad story. But anyway, the good thing was I had Ling Ling. Now, Ling Ling was starting to grow, and Ling Ling was getting bigger and bigger by the day. She was almost as came up to over my hip. She was getting as big as me, but she was my friend. And when I had my allowance, I would I loved McDonald's. I would put a string on Ling Ling's neck like a dog. We would walk to McDonald's, get our cheeseburger, French fries, chicken sandwich, milkshake, whatever we wanted. But one thing Ling Ling really loved, and that was French fries. Ling Ling would eat French fries, and she also liked Snicker bars. I would buy them with my allowance. Not that it's good for you, but back in those days we weren't as health conscious as we are now. So, yeah, she would eat the peanuts out of the Snicker bar, and when I would sneak her in the house, she would sit down and watch TV. But let me tell you why I sneaked her in the house. Next door, there were two very bad dogs, very bad German Shepherds. And the turkeys, when they would go to sleep at night, they would sit on the fence. My grandmother said they're roosting to go to sleep. So one day, as they were sitting on the fence, the bad dog said, "We're going to have turkey for dinner." Oh my goodness. Excuse me, I'm getting a little sleepy. Hold on a minute. So they scratched Ling Ling in a very, excuse me, nasty way. They scratched her. She began to get sick. So I had to walk Ling Ling to the doctor, the veterinarian, and I went in my piggy bank and I took out all the money I had in the piggy bank and I said, as I walked to the doctor, I went in the office and sat in the waiting room. I said, excuse me, I'm a little sleepy. I'm telling the story a little differently, but I says, well, how much is it to take care of my turkey? She's got a bad scratch and I don't want it to get infected. And my grandmother put some peroxide on it and Ling Ling is sick. Can you help her? He says, well, you come to the right place, young lady. He said, I'm a bird specialist and turkeys are my specialty. I was so happy. Oh my goodness, I was so happy. The veterinarian was going to take care of Ling Ling, my turkey. This was the only bird that we had left. All the birds were gone. They would give Grandma money for them and they took them off. So the vet fixed Ling Ling up, put a band aid on her, put some medicine on her, gave me some cream to put on her. And she says, okay, just watch the little cut now and have your grandmother put this little cream on her and she should be better in no time. Oh, I was so happy. And I said, well, how much do I owe you, doctor? I don't know how much a veterinarian costs, but this is what I have. All the money in my piggy bank. He says, well, you know what? Today is a free day for all birds, and all the veterinarians across the country are treating birds for free today. I was so happy. Okay, Ling Ling, we're going to go back home and we can have McDonald's. Yes. So I bought her some French fries and carried her back home with her leash, my little brother and little sister in tow. We went back and we went back to watching TV. After we got home, I gave Ling Ling her French fries again, which she was so happy to get. And we watched TV. We watched the Brady Bunch. We watched the Partridge Family. We watched TV. I read books to her so that she would get better. And Grandma said she could only come in the house sometime, but she has to go in her little house in the back. So Ling Ling lived to be a very old turkey, and she lived for a long, long time. And that's the story of Ling Ling, the pet turkey.